Welcome back. Mental health is a major topic of discussion lately. A local nonprofit has been reaching out to local kids to let them know it's okay to speak up when they're not feeling okay. Crystal spoke with Elizabeth Vincent, Executive Director of Breaking the Silence New Mexico, about what they are doing to put an end to the stigma, the shame, the silence surrounding mental illness.
Joining us this morning, we have Liz Vincent. She's with Breaking the Silence New Mexico. Good morning.
Good morning, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for joining us, Liz. So, we're
Well,
talking
thank you for
about,
having me.
absolutely, we're talking about mental health, a very hot topic lately, especially in light of the Meghan Markle interview that a lot of us have
Yes.
seen. You are part of a local nonprofit that has been speaking your truth to local kids in hopes to connect with them, to let them know that it's okay to not be okay. So, for our viewers who've not heard about Breaking the Silence New Mexico, tell me what you do.
We actually work statewide. So what we do is we go into the classrooms and we do three 45-minute interactive presentations with middle and high school children, teaching them about different aspects of mental illness. We want to eradicate any stigmas and myths that there are out there, of which there are many, regarding mental illness. We talk to them a little bit about different types of mental illness, how the brain is an organ like your heart or your lungs or your liver, and that organ can get a disease as well. It's not a matter of weakness. There's nothing you can do to prevent it. And then we teach the kids different abilities or different coping mechanisms and different ways to start a dialogue, be it with their friends, with their parents, with a teacher or a counselor in school. I mean, it's really, really just educational, and we want to normalize the conversation around mental health.
For the students that you guys reach out to, and you mentioned you do go into several schools here across the state, have you ever come across some students who seek more than just information, where they do need help?
Absolutely. One of the beauty parts, I mean, if there's a silver lining in this cloud of COVID, in the last year, we had to change our presentation from in person in the classroom to virtual. And what we have seen over the last year is, now that it's virtual, children are much more apt in the chat rooms to reach out and say, I thought I was just nervous or having some kind of anxiety, but I'm realizing now, because you said if it lasts more than 2 weeks, I need to seek help. So we have children seeking help. They will reach out to their teacher afterward. They will make themselves known during the course of the presentations. And then we ensure that they get to the resource in their school to follow up, to make sure that the children receive the help that they need, to contact the parents. We even have kids saying, my friend's talking about suicide, or my friend, won't respond to any of my texts or calls anymore, and I'm really worried about him or her. So that has been the one silver lining, is the children are so much more open about it.
Absolutely. And I think you hit the nail on the head. For one, it may not be a mental disorder that you've been diagnosed with. It may be something you're dealing with today. It's great to hear that these students are really reaching out, especially if they're concerned about maybe a classmate or a family member or a friend.
Absolutely.
Do you guys also offer your services for adults?
Absolutely. We have two different adult programs. We do a professional development training for essentially any adult who works with children, be they educators, school staff, coaches, sponsors of civic youth organizations, faith-based organizations that have youth programming involved. And I'll tell you, one of the wonderful parts of the program, for the professional development program for the adults, is that many adults have witnessed, or think they witness, a child who is withdrawing or a child who is in crisis, but they don't know how to start this conversation, and they're afraid they're going to make it worse. And we teach them how to open that dialogue. Because don't forget, I mean, coaches and teachers, these are people in roles of trust with children. And if a child is in a familial situation where maybe mental health not exactly is not openly discussed or is even frowned upon culturally in some aspects, they can go to another trusted adult in their life. And so we teach those adults how to have these conversations.
And again, if you or anyone you know is having thoughts of suicide, please do not hesitate to call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. Now, that number is 1-800-273-8255. This lifeline provides 24/7 free and confidential support as for people in distress, prevention and crisis resources for you or your loved ones, and best practices for professionals.